Moscow police say they responded to the area around noon Sunday after they had reports that someone was unconscious. When officers arrived, they found the 4 victims dead.
Hi guys, my name's Emily. Thank you for clicking onto my video. Now today's case is of 4 Idaho students who were brutally murdered in their own beds, which only happened about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Let's just jump into it. Just before we start, I just have to say that this case is still ongoing. Therefore, most of this is just hearsay or speculation until the truth actually unfolds. But on the 13th of November 2022, 4 students had been stabbed to death at Idaho University in the town of Moscow. Now this town isn't very big. The population is about 26,000 and 11,500 of them is students. So as you can imagine, a lot of young adults that are around about the same age, learning together, eating together, going out clubbing together, making new friends. The list could go on. However, somebody in that town committed the most heinous crimes on 20-year-old Zaina Canoodle, 20-year-old Ethan Chapin, 21-year-old Kaylee Conkalbs, and 21-year-old Madison Mogan. Zaina and Ethan were in a relationship together, and it was known that he was over their house quite a lot, very often staying over. Ethan was from Conway, Washington. He was actually one of triplets. Now I'm a twin myself. I couldn't even begin to imagine a day without my twin brother, let alone him being murdered and completely taken away from you. Most people do not understand the relationship that you have with your twin or your triplet. The bond is just so much stronger than you have with a normal sibling. I can't even begin to explain the different bond that you have. But to have that taken away from you and ripped from you, I couldn't even imagine. It'd be like my left side of my body had been totally ripped out. I really feel for his triplets. All of them were really close. They used to play basketball together, football together, even going running on cross country. The triplets actually attended the same University of Idaho, with Ethan majoring in recreation, sport and tourism management. Zaina, on the other hand, was from Post Falls, Idaho. When she was little, she was known to be a really talented gymnast. And as she grew, she was known to be quite good at volleyball, track, and she was one hell of a football player. She had taken up marketing in the University of Idaho. She was also a member of the Pi Beta sorority, along with her friend Madison Mogan. They had also worked a job together at a local Greek restaurant. Madison was from the Coeur d'Alene area, but grew up in Idaho. She was known to be very funny, hard-working, and was excited to be attending the university. She had taken up marketing too, and while she was there, she had been on the dean's list every single semester, which basically meant that she was academically recognised. Madison had been in a relationship with another student called Jake. They were seeing each other for about a year. Madison and Kaylee knew each other from middle school. They were best friends from then. They did absolutely everything together, to the point that they went to the same university together, they rented the same house together, and even on that fateful night, they were sharing the same bed together. Kaylee was born in Concord, California, but had grown up in Rathdrum, Idaho, not far from where Madison lived. She was known to be a very social person who very much loved an adventure. She had come to the university to actually study to be an elementary teacher. So they had all come to know each other in one way or another and formed quite a tight friendship. But this was until some fucking maniac had broke into their house in the early hours of the 13th of November and killed 4 students that were in that house, but had left the 2 students that were on the bottom floor unharmed. They lived in quite a large house. It was a 3-storey, 6-bedroom, 3-bathroomed home. However, as nice as this house sounds, it was situated on a hill. So with that, you could gain entry through the front door to the ground floor. But if you went round to the back, you could gain entry to the 2nd floor. There had been a 6th housemate, however they had moved completely out by the 13th of November, which just left the 5 girls and Ethan, who stayed round a lot. Oh, and they also had a dog called Murphy. I'm not sure whose dog it actually was. I think it was Kaylee's, but they had a dog there. Now let's just get a little bit of the layout of the house, because there's been some speculation. Bethany and Dylan's bedrooms were on the ground floor. Zaina and Ethan's room was the one above that. and Kaylee and Madison's room were the ones above that. Now, if you entered the front door, you would reach the floor that Bethany and Dylan were on. But if you entered the back door, you would reach the floor that Zaina and Ethan was on. And the reason why I say this is because Bethany and Dylan had not been touched. And not only that, they didn't hear any of their 4 friends being murdered. They had been discovered when the police had been called out to a person who had passed out, but they had uncovered the 4 murdered students. Right, so let's go back to what is known about this case so far. On the 12th of November, the group had taken one last photo posted by Kaylee. She captioned it as, "One lucky girl to be surrounded by these people, heart emoji." This was all during the day because by the time that night hit, they all had somewhere else to be. And Zaina and Ethan were only a couple of minutes away from their home at a frat party. They arrived there about 8 p.m. Meanwhile, Madison and Kaylee had gone to a sports bar called the Corner Club in downtown Moscow. This was around 10 p.m. Dylan and Bethany had gone out separately that night, but they had both arrived home at about 1 a.m. on the 13th of November. Ethan and Zaina had gotten home at about 1:45. And Madison and Kaylee had left the Corner Club at about 1:30. But on the way home, they had stopped at a food truck. We all know how it is. We get a few drinks down us and we need some food to soak it up. So the girls had stopped by the grub truckers. However, the students had been filmed on a live Twitch stream, which the food stop had actually regularly done. Now, there's a few things that stick out for people, but one of them is a man in the dark hoodie. Now, he is seen to be pointing at them when they go. And in one video, it said that he had been following them. But if you actually look at them, Kaylee and Madison went off one way and he went off in a completely different direction. And he had actually been cleared as a suspect. And at 1:55 a.m, both Kaylee and Madison had arrived home. God knows what they were doing in the meantime, but from the hours of 2:26 to the hours of 2:24, Kaylee had been ringing a man by the name of Jake. So Kaylee had rang him 6 times. She'd been in a relationship with him previously, but because he wasn't answering to her, they decided, let's get Maddie to do it. So Maddie had rang him from 2:44 to 2:52. She'd rung him 3 times. Kaylee then decided to ring one last time at 2:52, and then that was it. It'd be the last thing that they both did, because between the hours of 3 a.m. and 5 a.m, it is believed that a figure armed with a very deadly Rambo-type knife had slid open the back door. This would automatically lead onto the floor that Zaina and Ethan was on. Now my question is, did the killer know this? Did the killer know that Zaina and Ethan were on this floor and that there was no other floor below that where Bethany and Dylan was? But it'd also been found that Bethany and Dylan had locked their door. So could the killer have gone down there and attempted to go into their rooms and couldn't gain access? Or was it through the fact that they didn't know that there was a bottom floor? And as for not hearing, you try go out on a night out, then come back and then get someone else to call you from a different room and see if that actually wakes you up. Because 9 times out of 10, I can guarantee you won't. Either that or the person that had come in to murder these students had instantly silenced them. Because thinking about it, if the killer had entered at 3 a.m, surely the girls would have heard. They had only just stopped ringing Jake 8 minutes beforehand. Now, I know being drunk you can fall asleep just like that, but still, surely they would have heard something or still been awake. Or they hadn't entered at all until the killer or killers knew that they were all asleep, like patiently waiting outside for each individual light to go off and then giving them an idea of where each person actually was. Again, this is just speculation, so please don't come for me. But the coroner had said that they'd all most likely been killed in their sleep, or the attack started in their sleep, as some of them did have defensive wounds on them. There hadn't been any signs of any sexual assault, although the targets seemed to be either Kaylee or Madison, because their injuries seemed to be far worse than the other 2. But this could have happened due to the fact of them not long falling asleep and springing into action and trying to save their life. The police have also been on the lookout for a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. They're looking for this car because it was seen speeding away from the street of the crime. An abandoned Hyundai Elantra had been found 750 miles away from the crime scene. This had no licence plates on, which is a bit sus, to be honest. They're looking for a car like this and then one like this turns up without no licence plates. Well, they found the owner and apparently she's been cleared of any suspicion. Apparently she had a car accident, and the police are still on the lookout for the white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. However, could they have made a mistake? Because there's been a video that surfaced recently. And how do you know that the girl in the video is not the same girl that was driving? Or one of the girls that were driving? One of the people that were driving? This brings me to my next little suspicion, which is what I've been waiting for. Now, what I mean by this is the douchebag who killed them to make themselves known either on the TV programme or an interview or just anything, claiming that they either know the person or they're really sad about this person, just trying to gain attention in any which way, shape or form of these people's murders that they committed. Now, this is just speculation, this is my opinion, and I could be completely wrong. But their neighbour, Enon Harsh, it's a bit weird how he done this interview. I mean, just take a look at it.
That person that I have with me now. So let everyone know this is going on. We'll try to take some questions as well, but right now I'm going to start with my questions because I have a lot of them. I want to thank you for being here. And first off, I think we should just start by taking us back to that night. The things I've heard in the news from you, Enon, are that it was an unexpectedly quiet night. You wrote about the crime on social media, and share what you remember from that night. Is that a good place for us to start right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I work about like 10, usually like 9 to 11-hour shifts. So I went to work. I got off around, I think it was around 12 that night. It was kind of like a late close, and I like bullshitted with like a coworker for a little while after work, and then I went home. It was around, I don't know, like 1:30, 2-ish a.m. It was maybe when I got home, maybe
Let's just stop it there for a second. So with him just coming back from work, he was up. He was up at the time that all these students had come back and gone to sleep, which would have given him ample opportunity to see what they were doing. And it would have given him more of an idea about their house. Even if you are just seeing it as a neighbour, seeing it out of a window, you'd have had more of an idea than anyone else. And not only that, he clearly wasn't drunk with just getting home from work.
I'm always like kind of hoping that I have like a parking spot right in front of my door when I get there, because like lots of times on campus, there's like parties and like they're pretty full. And so like this time I noticed that like, I don't know, it wasn't really any cars as usual. I was like, cool, I'm gonna get a nice spot right in front. And there was I saw like this sort of like kind of like decked out like luxury, like I thought it was black SUV, maybe like a Beamer or something.
Who the fuck says like that much? I would show the entire clip, but we would be here some time, but you can actually find it on YouTube. Enon Harsh said that he had heard a scream. He'd even written a post about it on Facebook about 12 hours after the murder. He then wrote a post on Reddit claiming that he knew the students, mainly mentioning Kaylee's name. He claimed that he couldn't remember the other names, but yet got them right, all except for Ethan. He named him Zaina's boyfriend. It all just seems so odd, really, doesn't it? The police say that they have no suspects in mind, but I think they do, and they're not saying anything. Well, they can't say anything due to the investigation, but I do believe that they have someone in mind. It's just so scary, isn't it? 4 students had been murdered in their own beds while they slept, going to university. And the person or people responsible for their murder are just out, living it up, living free, and Idaho having to live with a murderer. I really do hope that the killer or the killers are caught soon, so not only can Kaylee, Maddie, Zaina and Ethan receive their justice, but the town of Moscow can finally feel free and safe again. But for the time being, that's all the information that I can find. If there's any updates or the murderer is being found, obviously you guys will be the first people to know. But for now, that's it. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment box. But before you go, I just wanted to apologise for not uploading last week. I was very busy with cakes, and then not only that, at this time of year, my car decides it wants to break. I spent most of the week trying to fix it, but no, it's safe to say that Penny the Pinto is gone. And then my phone drops in the bath yesterday. So I've got no car, I've got no phone, and I'm doing very well. But I'll see you next week with another video. But until then, Merry Christmas, have fun, stay safe, drink sensibly. Love you all.